Absolutely, Tembekile would have seen early on in the day as this program was getting started, the alliance partners were among those who offered their messages of support and in many ways expectations around what they expect to see come out of this conference. I think over the last years, over the last term, if we can put it that way, there's been some disappointment from the alliance partners about what they expected the reform, the renewal process of the ANC to look like, especially how that translates into government. And every now and again, we get to see the tensions play themselves out publicly. We're joined by Cosatu's Bheki Ntshalintshali. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Good evening, and good evening to the viewers at home.
It's an important conference for the ANC in its own words. It describes this conference as taking place at a time when the party is on a treacherous road to the 2024 elections. As alliance partners, you're looking in, and when you try and help diagnose the problems of the ANC, where has the party gone wrong?
It's not, I think it's not a difficult thing to find out what went wrong. You can just go to the conference now and look at the time. That is almost 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. The ANC is still discussing the program, the adoption of the program, which suggests that delegates do not understand the agency of doing things right and doing things in a speedily manner that South Africans can appreciate. So the organization in itself is almost non-existent. So I think that is the state of the organization. It's in a dire state. They don't appreciate the challenges that the South Africans have. They don't appreciate the trust that people have put to the ANC. So they are fighting petty issues in the main. Those that are on the wrong side of the law, they want to debate and argue as they're doing now. They stay, setting this, what you to step aside the rules maybe to be scrapped, which suggests in any way that people come here to say it is correct to loot, it is correct to corruption and etc. So it really is in a bad state, and that's what our messages were to say is, look, appreciate the confidence that the people have is not permanent. You need to act, and you have to look at the priorities, not to discuss everything. In our view, there might be few priorities. It's the economy and the jobs, is the state of Transnet and PRASA, is the question of the energy security supply, is the timing bomb of youth unemployment, is the gender-based violence and crime. So others you can do as you normally do, but you need to prioritize, and this conference here seems not to appreciate that.
In many ways, it follows off of the trajectory of what we saw taking place in provinces, because if we're being honest with ourselves, there wasn't a lot of time during the conferences held at provincial level that was paid to discussing actual policy. It seemed to have been dominated, even at that level, by the factional politics in the organization.
Yeah, I think it's a lost opportunity. That's why now at this level there has to be a kind of a leadership directive. People need to say, look, the provinces were given an opportunities, the branch were given the opportunity, but they seem not to follow the direction that need to be done. So we're looking to the leadership here. They have to match the NEC, and the top 6 must draw the line on the sand. They need to be sending these delegates back and to say, we have no choice. We need to serve our people. Otherwise, we don't deserve to be in a ruling party.
It's a warning that is made in these discussion policy documents as well, that if the ANC continues to pursue what is described as a narrow party focus and lose sight of being a change agent in society, then it could well no longer have the kind of support that it has had over the years. And that is after they take an acknowledgement of the fact that they suffered great losses in last year's local government elections. But what is it going to take to change things around, because the party has become so self-centered. It has been about individuals, and even the contestation that is taking place now is because people are looking to see what will happen in the end. It's all pointing to the elective conference. It's all about who's going to lead in the end.
I think it can take a number of forms. The ANC, in a sense, is not not everybody is in government. People are, those who are looting might be in government, but those who are in government don't got a responsibility. The president must draw the line on the sand. He will have been said, if you're a minister under my administration, your performance is not good, please step aside. There's nothing the president has to lose. He has to lose his, he has to protect his legacy, his own credibility, and be able to act. Many have to do that. Everybody should be standing up. There are minority who see the things that needed to be done, but they must decide at some point whether they want to be following the majority who want to do things wrong, or to say, look, I can't serve, I can't lead you if you can't take my authority and be the representative of the people. I think it goes to that stage. Equally, it questions the alliance itself. How long are you going to be subjected to this harassment and able to support the ANC if the ANC leadership and its people can't see the light and can't see the dangers that are facing our people?
We've in the past heard, I'll call them veiled, in some instances not so veiled, threats from alliance partners about walking away from the alliance if some issues are not taken seriously. It comes up in different forms, but when you take a look realistically at an organization that you just a couple of minutes ago described as being in a dire state, what does that realistically mean for a federation of unions like Cosatu?
I think that's what we were putting in our discussion document as we're moving to the Congress. Is we're putting all the issues and says, look at the state of our country, look at our economy, look at the good policies that the ANC have taken in the previous conference, but look at the performance, and they have to decide what you need to do. If your employer, the biggest employer in the country, which is the state, refuse to give increases to the public sector workers, but able to give increase to themselves, what it means. So this is a soul searching even to the members of Cosatu in this particular case, and to say, how long are you going to tolerate these things? Of course, the difficulty is that there are no alternative that are emerging. All others, political parties, seems to suggest that should we be in power, we're going to deal with the public sector. We are going to be our first victim. We are going to privatize. When all these things are put together, workers, sometimes they get confused what to do in this situation.
Any idea yet on what will be, that nail that breaks the camel's back? Or that straw, rather, that breaks the camel's back?
Look, I think if there's a failure really to address the issue of ESCOM, which is the unemployment of 10 million people who are going for social instability.
Are we not there already?
No, I'm talking about people defying. Our people are still tolerant. They still go hungry to bed and complains about this and that. They are being failed by government, municipalities failing, people are paying electricity bill, money is not going to ESCOM, go to the pockets of the councillors, and etc. and etc. But one day it will come when people will say, enough is enough, we're not going to do that. Our worry, of course, is a vote apathy, when people just say, we're not going to vote at all, and you leave then the power to a very minority, very few who will say we go to vote, which is likely to be the minority people who will go and vote, and we go back to the apartheid.
How do you think history is going to look back on that moment, especially looking at a union like Cosatu? How do you think you will be judged, because you would have been part of that journey?
Look, we are pushing very hard, in terms of the reconfigured alliance, because that's where our hope is, that if that fails, there will be no reason for Cosatu to be in the alliance. Our only hope is when the ANC can accept that with all the problem that they have, that the solution, even to push the ANC, who's going the other way around, and to say the alliance has to be a political center. Decision must be taken at that alliance. And we think we've got many, many good things. We're trying as Cosatu to put money to save Eskom, because we understand that if Eskom collapses, the economy collapses. So there are a number of suggestions that we're putting forward. We're not only criticizing, but when you come to these masses, people just ignore.
All right. Cosatu's Bheki Ntshalintshali there, as you heard, not very impressed with at least how day one of the conference is going, and he calls it a time of reflection for alliance partners like Cosatu. What is their future?